Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go watch a movie with PJ. Lord, and he's always glad you came. You wanna be where you could see our troubles are all the same. You wanna go and watch a movie with PJ.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the PJ Campbell Network. I am not PJ Campbell. I am Maxwell Haddad. I don't know if some of you who are joining us just got done watching the Schmodown Throwdown. It was a thrilling pay-per-view event. It went late, and that's why PJ is still busy doing his head writer duties. He may pop in to join us a little later on. So if you're here to see PJ, don't fret. Chances are good that you're going to see PJ. Tonight we have with us the illustrious Chris Clark. How are you doing, Chris?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenal. Like 2 weeks ago, I think, from now, we did Cloverfeild, and we were just like, you know what? It felt natural to just do its sequel because we talked about it so much during the commentary and how good and different this movie is compared to what Cloverfeild was and how magical this movie is, especially with the performance of John Goodman.
Yeah.
That this is just going to be amazing. I don't know. We've all seen it on here, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've okay, cool. Yeah, so this is going to be fun. This is going to be great. Yeah.
And the man shaking his head in an affirmative faction below me is none other than Patrick Hogue, who has been kind of missing for a little bit. I heard he was lost in the woods. How are you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good, but I just want to say Papa Bird has left the nest. He's off getting the worms. He's off making the bucks to keep this streaming channel running, and now it's the chickies that are running this stream now. It's us. It's us. We're taking this over, and PJ's gonna come back and realize that we're the ones holding up this fiery tower that we call the PJ Campbell house. So we'll see how this works out for PJ in the long run.
Those are some strong words.
Yeah, but I'm excited to be here. I like this movie. I've returned from the Maine wilderness and am now in the Los Angeles dystopian future. And what better to do than watch a very calming and not at all claustrophobic movie about, not a disease that people get and not an outside force that people don't have control over, forcing them to stay inside and quarantine themselves away from everybody else. Like, I can't wait for this break in reality that this movie's going to bring me, even though I do love this movie.
And of course, Mike K saying, "What up, y'all?"
So let's just go through a little bit of what we have going on in the network over the next couple of days. So we may be doing a PJ Campbell show tomorrow night. Not 100% sure, or rather Sunday night, but we will definitely let you know when that is figured out. On Monday, for our animated movie watch along, we are doing the Rugrats movie, which was my request. And I'm actually really excited for it. I think it's going to be quite the nostalgia bomb for all of us who are either in or approaching our 30s.
I think that's all of us.
I'm 33, so I'm past you guys. If you didn't get a chance to watch Front Center Mezzanine last night, we had Allison Bresci on. She's a producer and works in developing theater. It was a great conversation, a unique perspective to anything we've had on the show thus far. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it. The viewership numbers have been really good for it. Allison was a lovely guest. And then 2 weeks from yesterday, on August 27th, we're doing a next episode of Front Center Mezzanine with our guest, Kaylin West, who is a lovely and incredibly talented young actress. She starred on Broadway in The Prom. She did a short stint on the first national tour of Mean Girls, and she was in Dave Malloy's Moby Dick at ART in Boston. So I'm really excited to talk to her about her career, what it's like being a young actress, auditioning, her experiences in the shows she's been in. That's going to be really thrilling. If you have not yet watched Suddenly Soundtracks, about Newsies. It's an awesome episode, as we always say. Kevin Smets, who is a guest on the show, was in the movie Newsies, so he brings a really fascinating insight into it. Also, of course, with Kristen Smith, Robert Parker, and the host of Suddenly Soundtracks, Chris Clark. Did you have fun with that one, Chris?
It's a great conversation because Smets goes through not just the actual songs themselves, but the behind-the-scenes tidbits of what it was like filming those songs.
Yeah.
And Robert and Kristen brought a unique perspective because unlike our Little Shop episode, Newsies wasn't based on a stage musical, but there was a stage musical adaptation that corresponded with the film, and they were able to discuss and talk about the differences between that, which was fascinating.
Which I think is better than the film.
There's a couple of scenes that are really weird with that woman in burlesque with the children all around her,
which are better in the film, in the stage show rather,
which are 110% better in the stage. We go through all of that, so make sure to check that out.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good soundtrack. So, but I think the stage, I wish we did that instead, but it's still a good show.
We could always go back and do the stage show.
Probably will. We probably will.
So, August has been Monster Month. We've been a little behind on that, but we do still have watch-alongs coming up for Bong Joon-ho's The Host, which is going to be our first foreign language watch-along. It's a badass South Korean monster movie if you haven't seen it. And then we'll be finishing off Monster Month with a double feature of Godzilla 98 with Matthew Broderick and Pacific Rim, a personal favorite of the namesake of the network, Mr. PJ Campbell. And then, if you can believe it, time has gone so fast. It's going to be September. What does September mean? Scary Movie Squad. We have watch-alongs of horror films every night in September, every Friday night in September and October, with such an amazing array of guests. As you can see, we're going to have Teresa, Kristen Smith, these knuckleheads on the show with us tonight, Evan DeGraff. Tim Franco is going to be on every watch-along. William Bibiani, Mark Riley. And there are probably more special guests we haven't announced yet. We're going to be watching Halloween, Friday the 13th Part 2, Scream, a double feature of Shudder features, Hosts and Haunt, both of which I'm a big fan of. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is one of the most delightful B-movies ever made if you haven't seen it. And then we go into Poltergeist, an incredibly effective haunted house film, a double feature of The Conjuring and The Conjuring Part 2, Cabin in the Woods, Tim Burton's opus Sleepy Hollow, and then on Halloween night itself, because let's be honest, guys,
we're not going out.
We're not going out. This Rona shit is still going to be a problem because people aren't wearing masks, and that's my political statement of the night, apparently. But a double feature of Trick or Treat, which I think is an incredible film, and Halloween 2018. So we are bookending Scary Movie Squad with the original 1978 Halloween and the 2018 Halloween. It's sort of perfect in construction. Are you guys excited for Scary Movie Squad?
My lighting's going to suck because I want to watch all of that in the dark. So, it's just going to be a thing. My lighting's just going to have to suck because I like watching those films in the dark. Because, look, scary movies are freaking phenomenal. And it's even better when you can see something in the dark and you think that's a figure and it makes it even more scary. I don't know. That's what I like, being scared. So it's going to be
I love being scared. Yeah. If I watch them in the dark, you won't be able to see me, which defeats the purpose of a watch-along.
Well, and I like that it's kind of our first themed month where we can all just kind of, and Chris, to your point, I didn't even think about that. I should make my setup like a cone of darkness so that
I'm gonna figure out lighting, but I just need it to be dark.
Another super exciting watch along we have coming up, and we haven't quite scheduled it yet, but we are going to do our first ever triple feature of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and the brand new Bill and Ted Face the Music. I'm excited for that. I know PJ is super excited for that. So
I would assume that it's probably either going to be on a alternate week where Front Center Mezzanine isn't, or it's probably going to be on a Saturday night. Since all of our Fridays through October are pretty booked, so those are the only 2 dates that I can think of that would work. So just look out for whenever we decide to do it. It'll probably either be Thursday or a Saturday, most likely.
As soon as we know, we'll announce it on our Twitter, which reminds me, if you aren't following the PJ Campbell Network Twitter, we are at PJC Network. Please follow us there. That's where all of our most up-to-date announcements will be. We also are available as audio only on Spotify and iTunes. We love it when you subscribe on either Spotify or iTunes, and we really love it on iTunes when you leave us reviews if you enjoy our content. And if you haven't yet, subscribe on YouTube. Yeah. Only other thing I'm going to say before we get the watch along started is we do have a Streamlabs. If you're feeling generous, you like our content, throwing $1 or $2 our way does help us keep the lights on and allows us to keep producing all these shows we do for you almost every night of the week.
Almost, yeah.
Anything
Not
else
all of them, but
you guys
almost.
want to cover before we get started on this Dan Trachtenberg directed thriller, sci-fi, whatever your genre, it fits in a lot of different ones film?
I mean,
it's really psychological horror kind of too, a little bit. I think a lot of it.
I have some sparkling seltzers I'll be enjoying, or some spiked seltzers, I should say, I'll be enjoying. So this is going to be a fun one. It's available for free on Crackle. If you don't own it or you didn't rent it, but are you guys ready? We are all queued up at 0000.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I was just gonna say real quick, like because I wasn't on the last Cloverfield one of. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie, and it's been a long time since I've seen the first one. So, like, to get the first kind of tinges of horror going into this, like, next month we have lined up, next 2 months, that, I don't know, this feels like a good, like...
This gets straight up scary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would almost argue that this is scarier than Cloverfield is.
This is scarier than, I think, any of the monster movies we're going to be doing in the next 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Probably.
Because it
deals with psychological terror, which is...
It's more human. Horror.
Yeah. This is.
We can discuss it all when we watch the film. So, are we all queued up?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
In the countdown from 5.
Now, are we going on 1 or on go?
On go.
Okay.
Okay. I'll say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and we'll. Okay. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Here we go.
Yeah, which is, did you guys ever see his Portal short film?
Yes.
Before this movie? I think it's Still Alive.
I think he's really talented. If I'm not mistaken, he was going to be doing Why the Last Man, and then that sort of fell apart.
And he was going to do Uncharted.
Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't done anything else yet, because I think this is so well directed.
Which is, it's a trap you see a lot of female directors get into, especially if, like, you get the first movie, which is a big hit, and then it takes them forever to get the second one going. And, like, a lot of these indie directors, I think, also have that problem.
You know, I'm a nerd because whenever I see the Bad Robot logo before a movie, it gets me excited. I know I'm going to see something that has some mystery element to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mystery that's in a box form.
This turns into what Beauty and the Beast could have been if it was psychological horror.
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's good. Yeah. I would just like to see John Goodman as the Beast in a rendition of Beauty and the Beast.
It would be great, yeah.
Hey, Patty, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. It's a good movie.
Welcome.
What was this? It was 2013, right?
This?
Yeah.
No.
2016.
What was it, 2014?
2016.
Yeah.
It's not even that old. Like right away, we start out and, like, there's an intensity to it. Like, she's packing, and I have to say, I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is one of the great actresses of this young generation. Everything I see her in, she's always so compelling. Whether it's this or on the Fargo TV show, or I thought she kicked tons of ass in Birds of Prey. She was amazing as Ramona Flowers in Scott Pilgrim. She's just a great young actress.
Yeah, it's just. Especially when you know how this ends, it's just
it's the Cloverfield elements of it. I feel because for the longest time, it's one of the few movies that, like, from high school into college, I really followed. This was just known as The Cellar, and, like, I knew it was Mary Elizabeth Winstead, John Goodman, and it was just the psychological thriller elements without.
That's what it was supposed to be.
From what I understand, the original draft of the script that was picked up had no Cloverfield elements, and then they decided to bring it in. The good thing is they brought it in on the script stage, so it feels organic and not shoehorned in, as opposed to the Cloverfield paradox, where they did that in
probably shot.
They did it in reshoot,
which I haven't even seen,
and I don't think it works at all.
I'll still say the ending to this movie is pretty rough. I think that's the most tacked on thing, like with. We'll get there when we get there, but it does kind of.
I love these, like,
it's one of those
shots.
This is the Shining shot.
Yeah,
where they're like pretty much driving to the hotel at The Shining.
but it's really effective visual
do we know-
storytelling because we saw that she left her engagement ring behind, and that's all you need to know about why she's fleeing. You don't need to know anything more.
And there's been zero dialogue, and it's it's all conveyed.
Well, and it's also like, look how separated she is from people, like when she's like stuck with John Goodman. But also, do you guys know who the voice on the phone is that she's about to talk to?
I think it's Greg Grunberg, right?
No. Someone even crazier.
I have to hear
We'll get there because I want to see if you guys.
Oh, wait, sorry. No, the voice on the phone in Star Trek is Greg Grunberg.
Yes.
The J.J. Abrams Star Trek, which I'm a big fan of. I just figured J.J. always tries to get Greg in his produced or directed films in some way or another.
It's pretty, and I remember hearing this story. It's a big actor who they get for the phone. And again, I want to wait. I kind of called the shot a little too early, but like stuff like this, like
just the way she's looking,
just very simple, nonverbal storytelling.
Yeah,
like it's all visual. It's all, and it really is like you can have high concept ideas, but as long as you execute it right and have like empathetic actors that can like convey, it's like that's all you need. This is Hitchcockian. All right, tell me if you recognize this voice, guys.
Okay.
You guys know who that is?
I have to turn the audio up. Hold on.
Sorry, people. We're listening.
I'm listening to. Is that Jeff Bridges?
No. Do you want to know who it is?
I think it's Bradley Cooper.
It's Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. Took me a second.
Which I remember hearing the story, but it was just so weird. Of like I learned that after the fact. I'm like, that can't be true. And then I listened to it again. I'm like, oh, that's totally Bradley Cooper.
He's doing a little bit of a voice, but after I listened, I was like, Bradley Cooper. Oh. Car accident. Oh God, so visceral. I love that.
I love that hard cut.
Yeah,
so
I loved it. Yeah.
The editing of here.
Well, and it also.
And just how the silence just goes with the.
I remember when I saw this in the theater and it cut hard from her crash to Paramount Pictures. I was in immediately.
Yeah, because that's a avant-garde kind of thing to do.
This is also a cool logo treatment.
So,
I think that's
so cool.
Pretty clever.
Yeah.
Also, and this movie is kind of associated with like the trailer came out like a month before the movie did.
And it did really well.
Trailer for this, and it was like, and it was like kind of a sleeper hit, and then people I think were surprised of like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Like,
if I'm not mistaken,
like a kind of a janky sequel to Cloverfield coming out.
3 times in theaters.
Oh my God.
Not that big a deal for me. I tend to see movies multiple times in the cinema.
And did this win any Oscars?
No.
I remember there was some discussion.
Honestly, I
thought
thought
John Goodman should be nominated.
Should have been nominated. I think it's one of his very best performances.
It's just because you don't see him as menacing ever. Like he's like
in some of the Coen Brothers stuff, he's menacing.
But that's the closest they get. This is one you're like, oh, but he also plays up like that comforting presence.
This is immediately
onto the creepiness.
Startling. Like her car crash, she wakes up chained to a wall with an IV drip in her arm, and she has no clue where she is.
Well, that's what this movie does so well is really put you in her POV, and like any new kind of like information you learn about the world or about the characters is through her eyes. And it like
that shot from behind her just revealed like what room she's in. It's so effectively storytelling from a visual angle.
There's hardly been any dialogue the entire film so far.
She hasn't said a word yet.
And it's like these like kind of little grassroots like YouTube directors like David Trachtenberg and like David S. Sandberg, who like has gone on to do like Shazam. It's like these are kind of like the prototypical examples of success stories now for big budget Hollywood directors that want to break out.
I have a big tolerance for gore. I'm not really bothered by anything, but for some reason, when you see someone pull an IV out of their vein, it always makes me, it like grosses me out.
Yeah.
Like you could like remove someone's eyeball, chop off their head. You could show me like a broken bone with blood squirting. I don't care. But pulling that IV out of the vein, I'm always like, ugh.
The worst thing that in film for me for that is if you've ever watched Pan's Labyrinth and the thing with the
gun.
No, with the gun to the guy's face.
Yeah. Which I'm into gore and stuff. Even I was taken aback by that. I'm like, Guillermo,
like to point out
come now.
How early on how effective Bear McCreary's score is into setting the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Is this Bear McCready?
It is Bear McCreary, yeah. I thought he did. He's a terrific. Is that
the guy who did the God of War theme?
Maybe. He does video games and he excels in horror and thriller. He did all the scoring for the Battlestar Galactica TV show, which was such a great score. But yeah, he's super talented.
See, and I like this scene that it already is establishing her resourcefulness, like so that it's not kind of a Deus Ex Machina later that she's like devising a hazmat suit. Like this shows like, oh no, she knows how to use her environment to like her advantage.
Let's just remember there are some people watching with us who have never seen it before, so let's try not to give away too many details about later on. But I agree, like it's clear from the beginning.
My apologies, folks.
That's okay. That she's super resourceful.
Yeah. Oh, haven't we all been there?
Yes.
Chained up in John Goodman's basement. Looking for service.
I wouldn't mind.
if it was any other celebrity, I'd have concerns. But if it's John Goodman, I'm like, at least he's gonna make sure I'm having a good time.
Yeah. I love the sound, how you just hear the footsteps and they're heavy and you hear the keys. The sound design is on point.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm always a sucker for like, almost like one room kind of movies where it is purely kind of visual storytelling that's going to make this like interesting to watch.
Yeah. And it has,
and like this, just like little details.
It has to have a certain theatricality to it too, because like one room movies are very much like a play.
Yeah, but it's weird that this one, it's weird the Cloverfield branding I think really helps it because you're like, where is this gonna go? Like it can't just be a contained thriller about people. Like the fact that it's Cloverfield and the trailer has it.
I think it's a rare case where the title itself immediately instills a mystery to what's going on.
Dread, yeah, a mystery, yeah, yeah. Because sometimes I'm into the whole John Goodman. All right. But it's like sometimes I think the mystery box of J.J. Abrams' gimmick is fun, and other times I'm so frustrated by it. This is one where I'm like, the marketing really worked for me. The film really paid off in that kind of way.
The thing with the J.J. Abrams mystery box that bothers me is the marketing, more so ever than the films themselves. I think he like we'll take Star Trek Into Darkness for an example. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but there's a character who in all the marketing they were like definitive. It's not that character. And then it is the character. And it didn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's like I like Into Darkness. I know that's a contentious point.
I don't mind. I like all the new Star Trek films to varying degrees.
But there is an element to J.J. Abrams, especially in like Rise of Skywalker, where he is a bit more concerned with audience experience than like longevity of storytelling. So sometimes he'll make a lot of big moments out of things that the audience will be like, whoa, but then for the characters, it's not that. So it's like, it's fun, but it's shallow, but it's still entertaining. Like he's such an interesting filmmaker.
Yeah.
And that like he's always caring that you're having a good time.
Go too deep into Rise of Skywalker. I don't hate it like some people do. I think taken on its own, it's a pretty fun like pulp adventure. Mm-hmm. But I think the big issue with that movie is that it was rushed. When the directors
they just need another year,
and they went to rewrite a script from almost scratch. Like they should have just delayed it by a year, which means who knows what would have happened, because then it would have been coming out in COVID era. So
yeah,
what can you do?
Yeah,
it just felt like right at the movie.
Like she's so.
I heard Yeah, no, again, like
she's whittling
everything around her
crutch
is
to make a spike.
It's the characterization that we know of her so far is that she's willing to fight for her own agency. Like, she's getting away from a bad relationship. She's now fighting for her own survival, and like, she's a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, people right now are the biggest threat in her lives, both personally and now in this situation. So now it becomes that psychological battle of like, I have to trust people, but like, that's a chess game in and of itself because there's bigger things going on. Yep. Like, this movie really hones in on like personal paranoias, and I love that. Whereas like the first one's fun, but it's a monster movie with dumb kids in their 20s being like, what's that? Let's go into the sewers. And it's like,
do we have a timeline when this happens compared to the first one?
People have said
argue that like it happens almost before it or like at the same time.
Because what John Goodman said earlier while I was going to he from what I remember, he says that nobody's out looking for you because they're probably preoccupied with the giant monster, I'm assuming. So I would assume that maybe this is during it. It's not really made,
and that's
go for it.
And it's like, well, to avoid spoiling again, this is another great like resourcefulness thing.
We're talking about the movie,
but like,
if people have seen it, we can kind of, unless somebody in the chat. But I mean, we're talking. This is a commentary at that point.
I know, but it's like, if there's, because people watch commentaries, not necessarily because I slipped up earlier, and it was a thing that just to be conscious of. I don't want to like talk about plot points when I know they're going to come up, but.
It's true. Oh, wow, yeah.
It is like one of the things that this movie, how it ties into Cloverfield, and like how vague John Goodman and the people inside are kind of like to referencing it, because the details we get in this movie don't necessarily align with what's happening in the first.
Yeah.
It's like it's different threats, but it still works in terms of like...
Yeah, I could not.
But the first movie is so vague about it.
Could not agree with this more, Mike. This is a perfect example of show don't tell. It's all visual storytelling. You're trying, and I think it's also effective to help build the tension and the paranoia, because you really are experiencing it through her lens.
Well, and that characters are key. Characters are story. Like, you can have high concept, you can have like crazy stuff going on, but if you don't give a crap about like who's in it, it doesn't matter. And like, I don't know much about Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but I want her to survive now. And like, just John Goodman just brings so much like inherent warmth to every role that you
don't know if he's bad.
I get there's something off about this guy, but like,
yeah. Well, I think that I don't think it's a spoiler to say one of the things the movie does is have you constantly questioning his motives.
Yeah. Oh, it does. I still kind of don't know his motives.
But it's also like, this guy seems real. This guy seems like a real guy who, and you've rolled your eyes at a lot of people like this of like, sure. Yeah, go back to your bunker.
We were talking about this when we watched Cloverfield a couple days ago, like how much this sort of thing can draw parallels to what's going on in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
you have some people are over-prepared, some people are underprepared, some people refuse to believe what's going on. But John Goodman's character is sort of like a survivalist.
He's a socially awkward survivalist. He has that kind of quality to him where he probably hasn't interacted much with many people, even before anything happens. So.
Well, but he's like one of those like doomsday like cheerers who's like spent his whole life building a bunker, but now he's proven right, and he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think he's like having trouble like processing that this is actually happening. Yeah, but again, it's just brilliant casting because. Yeah, even if it's creepy John Goodman, it's John Goodman.
It's creepy John, but again, the best thing to do about a villain or somebody who's in the way of the protagonist is to make him sympathetic still, and they still found a way to make him sympathetic, probably for the best because it's John Goodman.
I love that he already's talking about the Russians or the Martians.
Yeah.
This guy's a little
At first, you think he's just a little nuts, and yeah.
But again, that's where the title comes into. Like,
he's
like,
definitely
is there something going on?
Type of guy who's probably checked out QAnon once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, there's a conspiracy going on, and we all got to get on board with it. See, I really like when an actor is able to act that they're acting, and like Mary Elizabeth Winstead's like, I'm trying to say everything that you want to hear, so you'll let me out of this situation. And it's like very believable that I don't want to upset you, but I want you to let you know I'm scared and I just want to get out of here.
John Goodman has that quality to him that Philip Seymour Hoffman does. He just seems like everybody who acts off of him, it's just that kind of chemistry, that kind of I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
It's the same thing with Tom Hanks. Where
this is a great comparison to Tim Robbins in War of the Worlds.
Yeah. But
John
now just like imagine the whole movie with him.
Is such an electric performer that I think he brings out the best in anyone who he's with.
Who?
John Goodman.
Oh yeah, totally.
But
it sucks that he's in one of the worst sitcoms, though. Yeah. I don't know what you guys feel about Roseanne.
I heard. Oh, I thought ignoring the person. I've heard the original Roseanne was like pretty good.
Yeah, the
back
original
in its day
was a pretty solid family sitcom.
Oh, okay. I've just only seen that new series and it was bad.
I've heard The Conners is good. Like they tried to bring back Roseanne, that turned out the way it did, but then they spun it off into The Conners where she's not on it, and I've heard good things.
Oh, John Goodman's in it, so
it's like
really good.
Yeah,
but
he totally has that like.
He has that kind of like essence that Philip Seymour Hoffman has.
Well, it's just like an actor where it's like they have confidence.
Yeah. Okay, so
I trust you.
This actor here, really the only other actor in the movie is John Gallagher Jr., who I've been a huge fan of a long time. He was in the original cast of Spring Awakening on Broadway. He won a Tony Award for that performance.
Bitch of Living is the best.
And every time I see him in a movie, I think he's such an engaging presence, and I would like to see more of him. I think he's such a great third foil in this movie.
Yes, and he has that perfect energy of you're less crazy than John Goodman is, but you're still weird. Yeah, and the fact that I have to be locked up with you, I don't know about that.
If you guys haven't seen it, he stars in a movie that Mike Flanagan directed called Hush.
Hush, yes.
Where he plays sort of like a stalker, serial killer who's going out.
I was going to say, it's kind of a reveal in that movie of, at some point he just takes off his mask and you're like, oh, it's just this guy.
Yeah.
And he's really good and unsettling.
Yeah, really good. But that's such a cool movie because the main character is blind.
Deaf.
Oh, deaf. Excuse me. Deaf. Sorry. Hence Hush. Yes, that makes sense. And it's really just a cat and mouse game. Yes. Short Term 12 is incredible, and Johnny Gallagher is brilliant in the film.
I haven't seen Short Term 12, and
that
I
movie,
desperately need to.
Even now, but especially in 5 or 10 years, when we go back and think of all the actors who are super successful, that's going to be where they started. Because you have Brie Larson, you have Lakeith Stanfield, you have Rami Malek, you have John Gallagher Jr. There's a couple others. You have Stephanie Beatriz, I believe, who would go on to be in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's just such a great cast.
Sounds like the modern day Mickey Mouse Club.
Kind of, except it's a very serious film.
Oh,
that's for Disney XD.
It was directed by Destin Cretton, who is doing Shang-Chi for Marvel.
Oh, because he just did Just Mercy.
Yes.
Which was I know he was doing Shang-Chi. That's interesting.
If I'm not mistaken.
See, and right there,
that's a great shot.
It's such a good shot.
Real,
and with the curvature,
and also the underlying.
Yes, Caitlin Devers in Short Term 12.
The underlying just kind of like tension without them talking about it of like these are two guys with a girl that just got introduced to their we're gonna get into like Lord of the Flies situation of, you know, and it's just visually shown of just like the power dynamics here just physically among them, and like that's just great storytelling without talking about it.
I also love like the set dressing of this bunker. Like it has, other than that basement she was chained in, it has real character to it.
Mm-hmm. And it's like you need a good director that's able to visually establish the layout of a space where the layout is going to be very important. Mm-hmm. Like you need to know where every character is in relation to each other at very pivotal scenes in this.
And they creatively did that because you need a giant space because of where the cameras need to be. Not similar to,
and it's also just, and it's like each room has like a visual dynamic. Like this feels like a log cabin.
Yeah,
like,
and that whole dynamic was in the original Cloverfield. We were talking about that too, where it's just yeah.
As far as Doomsday Bunkers goes, I don't think this one would be that bad to live in.
It looks comfy.
She just probably thinks she's lying. And
it's again like that parallel of just the plight of being a woman around men. Like that paranoia is perfectly like
know it all. Okay, that shower curtain is such a funny visual joke, I think.
with the rubber duck and the umbrella.
But it's like that paranoia so works well with the paranoia of what's out there and can I trust you? And like when the intimate problems reflect the bigger problems, like that's good storytelling. Oh, that is some carpet.
Yeah, this movie definitely got the shaft at the Oscars.
Well, you know, it came out in March. You know, these sort of movies, these genre-leaning movies, and other than the rare exception like Get Out,
and it's one of those ones that I think doesn't have the aspirations of that, but people were surprised at the level of craft that was here. Of like, oh, you took just kind of a schlocky B movie premise and made more of a Hitchcock kind of like thriller with it, and like. Especially coming off like the first time director and a franchise we hadn't heard from in 7 years or 8 years. It's like, oh, you made a pretty decent movie with all the pieces you had. And it's like it was still in that zone of like, what is a cinematic universe? We can't just do Marvel and DC's trying their separate things. So like Cloverfield's like, we'll do anthology.
So Dan Trachtenberg did get a DGA nomination for Outstanding Directing for First Time Film, which is very impressive. Critics' Choice nominated it for Best Sci-Fi / Horror Film. And it got a couple Saturn Award nominations. It won Best Thriller, Best Actress, and Best Supporting Actor at the Saturn Awards. So it didn't go entirely unloved in the awards. Getting that DGA First Time Director nomination, that is very impressive.
Ooh, I love the score here.
There's not much
like
of
mystical,
it. Yeah.
Like there's the outside. And it is also like one of those examples of any project that Dan Trachtenberg has been like attached to. I'm like, oh,
he did direct.
Yeah, I trust him.
The pilot of The Boys on Amazon. But I love
that was a great episode.
On his Wikipedia, it says Dan Trachtenberg is not related to the model and actress Michelle Trachtenberg. Like, thank you for that, Wikipedia. Good to know. He is also a member. That's
always
member of the tribe. He is a Jew.
See, and like this, like you just got her POV, and it's like, could it be real? And it's also like that weird element that really works into these kind of premises of like, if it really is like an airborne apocalypse, she got really lucky that like John Goodman found her, and it makes sense why she'd be so paranoid of like, you know, like, how was I so lucky that you found me at this exact moment to bring me here to save me? So like every element plays into like her paranoia.
But then she also remembers that car hit her.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, so good. And it makes so much sense that Damien Chazelle had like a pass at this, because there's a lot of kind of whiplash feeling stuff. There's a lot of like the high tension he's really able to ratchet up in a lot more of his stuff.
Yeah, because Damien also wrote a film called Grand Piano.
Yeah, Elijah Wood.
And he wrote The Last Exorcism Part 2. So he has...
Is that true?
Yeah.
That movie always looked interesting. I didn't know he wrote that.
Mm-hmm. So he has experience.
Well, he's one of those guys that I think he has an appreciation for like this kind of subject material.
Well,
of like take these kind of outlandish premises and find the humanity in them.
Other than La La Land, both Whiplash and First Man are incredibly tense films.
Oh, Whiplash is insanely intense.
Yeah.
There's that 10-minute finale with yeah.
Grand Piano is really cool if you haven't seen it. Elijah Wood's a pianist who has to keep playing because there's a sniper with a gun pointed at his head.
Played by John Cusack.
Played by John Cusack, yep.
I saw the piano movie that's like called
scary.
1912 or something. That was...
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that's a little different. See, and like this of like, you know, like finding kinship, finding like any ounce of humanity in this, and like his whole thing of, it's true, I know it's all scary and stuff, but like, I don't know, it's just like, I'm so in her head of just, I don't know if I can trust you, even though there's kind of empirical evidence that you're right, but you guys are kind of weird, and I'm prone to not trusting people.
They could just be people they killed, and they're just decomposing that she saw or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's easy to say if I was in this situation because I've never been in it, but like, it's perfectly logical that even though she's seeing evidence to question everything that's going on.
Especially when you remember that truck hitting you.
Yep. I will be right back, gentlemen.
I also do like Howard's frustration that it's like, yeah, I was so ready to kind of hide out, and then this doofus showed up, and like, now I'm stuck with him. And you meet.
Yeah, I don't know how he got stuck with the douche though. The why he would have let him in.
I think there's that good element of Howard where he's like,
yeah,
you know, I need to be representative of humanity.
Obviously, yeah, but like he doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah, and it's like I think
I'll
thinks
argue that
he's the hero.
I honestly don't think he seems that bad throughout the entire film. I mean, just from you could see where he's coming from kind of way. He's flawed.
Yeah, but it is like
there's
like
points. There's points. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a few moments. Where
no.
Inexcusable. But it is kind of with everybody different levels and different kinds of paranoia, and like
Armageddon.
You know,
the Armageddon mind.
And like Mary Elizabeth Winstead has paranoia against people. She just got to have an abusive relationship, and he has just kind of like also paranoia about people, but in a completely different way. But they both need to learn to kind of trust people in different ways, and it's like those little layers. Now they're coming to head, and they can't leave. They have to deal with it with each other.
So every person that she has an interaction with during this entire film is a shit person, or she is from a POV. Because as you said, she was at the beginning running away from her boyfriend. So,
what a great time for.
I also love movies that
dinner's ready. The way he says that.
Oh, sorry, Max. Go ahead.
I just think perfect timing for him to walk in that conversation.
All right. I love movies where characters just get to kind of talk about their ideologies and just get to theorize about concepts, and like especially this is like what's out there.
Like My Dinner with
is
Andre.
That safer than what's in here?
Yes,
Yeah,
like with
but with aliens or an apocalypse.
I mean,
Wallace Shawn just shows up. Hello.
this could almost be turned into a play, like I kind of said earlier.
Totally, this would make like a great like black box kind of intimate, tense, artistic show.
It would.
I don't think it would take much to adapt it.
Yeah, probably the ending a little bit, but yeah.
I don't know. There's been some really creative things done in plays over the last couple of years. Like I think to the play of 1984.
I mean, they showed Kong climbing the Empire State Building on stage, so they could do everything. Yeah,
exactly. Or The Cursed Child.
Yep.
It is funny. Of like, I don't know what the licensing or like who owns the specific property. It's probably Bad Robot.
I would think, yeah.
If they would be able to let it happen.
I'm sure that if this was just the what was it called, the Cellar originally, it might have been. But it's part of a franchise.
Yeah.
Right? You don't stage The Empire Strikes Back, or the second volume of a franchise kind of thing.
Yeah, people do their own like.
Although this doesn't
like kind of really interpretations.
Self-contained story.
It is.
I think that's what's interesting about the Cloverfield universe.
Yeah,
that movie that came out, Overlord.
I've never seen it.
With
I saw half of that on a plane and I loved it. I need to finish it.
What's that about?
Kurt Russell's son.
Yes, there was for a while when I saw the trailers, I thought it was going to be a secret Cloverfield movie.
Is it a monster movie?
So did I. It's
kinda, yeah.
It's a World War II movie where it's like Wolfenstein, where all these soldiers go into like a Nazi like kind of internment camp, and then they find like weird experiments going on, and becomes a monster movie.
What's it called?
I heard it was awesome. I watched half of it on a plane.
It is pretty awesome.
What's it called again?
Overlord.
Overlord.
Starring Jobin
Wyatt,
who just got Emmy nominated for Watchmen, and Wyatt Russell, who in more than any other film he's done has proven that if they want to remake Escape from New York like they were talking about, just get Wyatt to do.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the Black Mirror episode with him?
Yeah.
Where she's really good in that. Every time like I look at just John Goodman's just like dead stare of anger to him, I just get that chill up my spine.
Waco.
And John Gallagher Jr. is such a guy I would know if like, all right, it's tense, I'm gonna lighten the mood, and John Goodman's like not having it.
There was this moment like in time where like from 2014 to like 2017, John Goodman was in like 4 films a year.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's been so busy with Roseanne and then The Conners. When you're on a series, like majority of your time is taken up.
Which is a shame.
He's the quintessential actor of like, how has he never been nominated for an Oscar?
Even like Barton Fink, for God's sakes.
Barton Fink and King Ralph is a fun film.
Yeah, King Ralph's great.
But even with Little Richard and him doing good.
Brother, We're Out Thou, he's pretty brilliant in. And
between him and Alan Arkin in Argo, I would have nominated John Goodman, and then Alan Arkin won.
No, he didn't. Alan Arkin won for Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, did he not?
No.
Did he not win for? Wait, that was 2012. That would have been. Shoot.
It was not. He didn't win. He won for Little Miss Sunshine.
Let me look that up.
Christoph Waltz won that year for Django.
That's right. Good sir. I am.
That was a very
unique
year in the supporting actor category, because it's one of the only times where everyone nominated had previously won an Oscar.
Yeah, which is like Alan Arkin was good. Nominate John Goodman.
Yep.
This is such like also like kind of a Western moment of just communicating with you non-verbally, and so much is going on.
I wish we got a movie with John Goodman and John Candy. That would have been great.
The way she's playing this up, sort of being a little flirtatious, like mellowing the mood.
And then John Goodman is making me feel gross.
He's so jealous and mad that they're connecting.
See, and I love Scott Pilgrim. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead in that, but that is such a singular role where she's such kind of like a millennial, okay, boomer girl. This one really has a range to her, and like a lot of movies just kind of put her into like kind of a do this thing throughout the whole movie, and this one just gives her like a buffet of like you're flirtatious, you're terrified, you're acting, you're like it's such a good acting showcase.
She puts her hand on his hand.
Oh,
I just think about the fact that she's at home now somewhere with Ewan McGregor.
Are they dating?
Yeah, they're together.
Oh, good for them.
Well, I think he kind of left his wife for her, but that's a whole other story.
Oh, not good for you.
They met they met doing Fargo, and then they were in Birds of Prey together again. So.
Oh, that's right. Oh, he's such a good screamer.
I was just going to say he's so good at yelling.
So good. Oh, man. He's such a powerful performer.
And it's like you can tell good actors on where they pause of like really building up the intensity. And it's like I've been going back and watching a lot of Tom Hanks movies, and he's just really good at finding those moments to pause and like just kind of
I saw him
let his personality bleed through
on Broadway in Waiting for Godot. And he was so brilliant.
John Goodman.
Yeah.
See, and just like that little moment of she didn't get the keys, he comes back, second chance. Like that's good blocking. That's good staging. That's just like you're not repeating beats. You're like just building up the tension.
When you have like a one location film, the blocking is key to it.
Yeah. And it's so impressive that this is such a quintessential first movie thing of like one location, just a bunch of actors.
What are they
drinking? It's so well directed. It's just like soda, like orange soda.
It's not beer.
No, because like I thought it was funny because it's just pop bottles and just like he's just putting it in glasses instead of just letting them drink from the bottles. And the sound drowning out because it's like she's not focused on them.
I'm so tense right now, you guys.
Yeah, you can always tell a good actor based on just how they do, or a good actor and director based on how they do conversations.
This scene coming up, though.
Oh, my God.
With the woman at the window?
This shot. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Ah, it's so good. It's so
good.
Yeah.
Because we've also established, like, how far is John Goodman willing to go to hurt people? We don't know.
He wants to hurt them to help them.
There's nothing more tenseful than somebody having a lot of keys and having to get one into a lock.
Like, which one is it? We've all been there.
Yeah. John Goodman chasing you up the stairs. Oh my God, 3 locks. And it's just like, that's such a Hitchcock thriller thing of like, there isn't 1 lock, there's 3. This is a little convenient, I will say.
Yeah.
This is very lucky for everyone involved except her. She's not doing good.
Her face doesn't look so great.
One of my irrational fears is like dissolving, whether it is from like acid or like stuff in the air corroding me. Like that just sounds like the worst way to die. She's not wearing a mask, Mary. Shouldn't do that. Who's this lady? She's good. Suzanne Cryer.
Any relation to John Cryer?
I hope so. Get some of that 2.5 money, man, or 2.5 men money.
I like 2.5 money, men.
It's my spoonerism for the day. Don't say it. Don't say bitch. Oh no.
Yeah. Yikes.
That's a good signifier for somebody's lost it mentally, of just like hit yourself in the head until you bleed. That's a pretty good like, oh, they're not doing great. Or they're the Joker.
Oh, in her case, Harley Quinn.
Mr. J. Puddin'. She's really good in Birds of Prey. Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
They all are. I think that movie is real good.
It's really good. It's a shame like not more people saw it.
It did well. I mean, yeah.
It did well, but like in comparison to the rest, it should have done better. Yeah. But hopefully streaming in quarantine helped, ironically. The fact that he tells her this, so like, and Chris, to your point of like, you know,
yeah,
but it's still like a chess game of like, who tells you the information and when do they tell it to you is just as important as to what they're telling you.
Because if he said this at the beginning, if he said this at the beginning, it probably wouldn't have.
Yeah. The fact that he waited until she knew he wasn't lying about crazy stuff. And it's like, okay, John Goodman. His dimples.
Yeah.
Or is like, is that what they're called? The like these big ones, or is it just around the mouth that are the dimples? And it's, you know, if I've been going through The Last of Us 2 again recently, if anyone's played that, and like that's a game about, you know, human connection is all you have left in the end of the world, and it's like
I'm pretty optimistic for the TV show of Last of Us.
TV show. Craig Mason, writer of Chernobyl.
After Chernobyl, I kind of would have given him a blank check, as I think HBO did.
I need to watch Chernobyl.
It is just sensational. I mean, it's so like tense and anxiety ridden and like very depressing and dark, but it is so beautifully done. The performances, the filmmaking, the writing, it's really really excellent. In my peripheral vision, I can see my dog humping my other dog.
That's so sweet, Max.
What?
It's really They constantly fight over who's the alpha.
Oh, it looks like they're friends with benefits.
I think dogs have that like social hierarchy of like, listen, we live together. We're not gonna make it weird. You know, we're just gonna hump each other while we're watching 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Kind of like these people living in the bunker. We're gonna live together. We're not gonna make it weird.
Distilled his own vodka. I believe this was shot on film.
Was it?
Well, if it was, it makes sense because it looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it's like it has that kind of like. Oh, that's a good joke, John Goodman. He's got some jokes.
See, right now he doesn't seem that bad, right?
Because he almost seems self-aware about his quirks, and it's like again what you said, Chris. Of he couldn't have told her that car thing at the beginning, and it's like he's now trusting her, like stick a needle in my head and fix me, and it is like okay. No. I would buy that she would start to like.
They shot it on the red epic dragon, which is
it's a 4K. It's a 4K camera.
It's a 6K camera.
6K camera.
Yeah. With Panavision.
That was the social. Yeah. Oh, that explains it. Panavision has good glass.
I like Zeiss glass, but Panavision
Don't like this, Chris.
This doesn't bother me at all.
See, I'm a Cooks guy.
They're a little screamy.
I also, in film school, took special effects makeup classes, so I'm just like, oh, I know exactly what they did to do that. It's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you see...
I have so much respect for good, like, special
when
effects.
When you see
artists.
In the Chocolate Factory, it's not as scary. Yeah, I really missed that sci-fi show they did Face Off. Did you ever watch that?
No. Yes. Oh my God, I was addicted to
every
that.
season of that, and I'm sad it got canceled. It was so excellent. It's basically Top Chef, but instead of cooking dishes, they did monster makeup. It's really incredible. So much.
See,
talent.
anything reality TV that could be tangentially related to movies, I was like, yes, I want to see people compete for what I love.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Didn't hear what he said, but I think he's got something to deal with.
Yep.
So I think Chris, you and I, we're gonna
finish this up.
We're gonna ride this one all the way.
I hope he's okay.
We got this. Mm-hmm. We're here. Maxine's anything knows that, and we got a good audience that also knows that.
Yep.
Right now, we're gonna appreciate a good movie that I know he'll enjoy. This, I also, these scenes I think are hard to do and hard to film, especially because of
it gets really uncomfortable. Really
actors
quick,
being in different locations.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's hard to get a sense of the emotional rhythm of a like dialogue scene, and it's also like when you're trying to film two people who are in different locations, like, and make it match visually. You just have to be a good director who knows, like, we're in a different space, but it needs to look like this to match this shot we got 7 hours ago or something.
It did.
I also like shots that allow themselves to kind of get dark around the edges to have a lot of vignettes and stuff.
It feels more natural. Especially this. This kind of looks like like a...
And it's just...
Yeah.
It makes it feel less studio. It makes it feel like what you're saying, like more natural, more like kind of artistic.
And more intimate, yeah.
Yeah. And this is a good...
exposition.
This is a good emotional scene to really... Yeah.
God.
Yeah. And it's also like... You look back at a lot of Damien Chazelle's movies. He's really good at that kind of... We're going to tell each other about ourselves, but it's not going to feel like we're just giving exposition. Like, La La Land is all that of being like, I like jazz, or it's like, I like being acting, but it never feels... Or like Whiplash is, I'm a drummer, and but it always feels character-based, and it always works with the characters bouncing off each other.
Yeah, and I think this movie just needs it, because once it gets going, it becomes kind of a different movie, if you know what I mean. So...
Yes. But again, it always has that Cloverfield thing in the back of your head of like, is one of them going to be like a xenomorph? Like we get it. There's something going on outside, but it's like, if we're staying with them.
I wonder what the original script was like, if it's available somewhere. I'd like to read it just to see the differences.
That is the thing of... Yeah, because I can see the initial premise being like a pretty easy like transfer over of like people stuck in a bunker. The one guy's like, it's dangerous outside, but you don't know. But it's like it being Cloverfield allows you to have the woman having her face melted at the window, and you're like, oh, I guess that's a Cloverfield thing going on. Whereas if it was just any other movie, it's like, what? What the heck's going on? I also like her being in a pink room, him being in a blue one.
It's the kind of opposite. If they were both in the same kind of like colored room, it would kind of look very stale, and it also would make the cuts jarring because if you colored them the same,
you wouldn't know where you are.
Yeah.
Also, that line he just said of "we're alive," even though she's like, I could have helped somebody and I didn't. Like the value of like what is it worth just surviving? And that's John Goodman's whole thing of like, yeah, you're surviving, but
at what price?
At what cost? Yeah.
And the juxtaposition.
I remember this song being in the trailer. Yeah. The juxtaposition.
Yeah. No, I'm just caught up in this because this is so different from what it was.
Yeah. It's like, okay, they're working together, and it's kind of
a feel good kind of thing.
Yeah.
But something still
actually off. The food looks kind of good.
Yeah.
Is this the Umbrella Academy song?
I haven't seen that show. Is that good?
I've made it through 5 episodes of season 1, and it's not my thing.
It's based on
I've heard season 2 is really good. Yeah, like a graphic novel. Are you a fluff guy?
What does that mean?
Like marshmallow fluff? Like people do like peanut butter and fluff sandwiches?
Oh, no. Any peanut butter sandwich I have is with apple butter.
Apple butter?
Peanut butter and apple butter.
I'll put like peanut butter on apples.
Now, peanut butter and apple butters are great.
I'm a big caramel apple guy. Some like green apple slices and like caramel sauce.
Welcome, guys, to the Apple show.
Wait, what's that?
I was just saying, welcome, guys, to the Apple show where we talk about Apple stuff.
It's just like PJ comes on. It's like, guys, you got to talk about movies. Like, it's been 2 hours of apples.
Oh.
I feel bad because like I'm looking at John Gallagher Jr. I'm like, man, dude, your hair, you need a haircut. And I look in the mirror and it's like, I have that haircut minus the beard right now. I'm in full quarantine mode.
God, that sound design made me think my house was shaking. Yeah.
See, that's good though. That's really good of like, and like
this is such an easy movie just to get caught up in. I've been thinking about
this a lot of.
Yeah. I'll go for it, Pat.
Do you want to? No, just like one of the movies that I'm trying to figure out how to write right now is like this of the basic premise, and anybody who's in chat, help me out, of a quarantine movie where people are stuck in their house and like the government announces of like, there's something outside. We don't know what it is. It's overlooking us. We don't know what kind of power they have, but it's there. And then just a movie about people in the apartment, in the house, just talking about it. And like this, like, but could be done on a quarantine scale. And it's like, it's not easy to put a narrative around that. And like the fact that this movie does it so successfully and knows how to dole out information very slowly throughout is so... Like, we just got comfortable. We just got happy with them. And then the rumble occurs. And now there's another problem.
It also helps you with pacing with the... Because you get back to the usual... it helps with your tone. Because if you go to a happy tone, you go back to the tone you were before the happy tone, it doesn't seem as repetitive and redundant.
Yeah. And it keeps you on your toes of, like, what's next? And it allows them to like, okay, we get a little happy here. Let's get a bit more disturbing. Then we can
and it gets
go back
really
and forth
disturbing.
and work with it.
Oh, it never goes back. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, I don't remember it being happier at any point. See, I like casual John Goodman. He's like, all right, we're all buds now. We're all going to work on a problem together. Like, and you're like, okay. And then she crawls through a tunnel and finds out John Goodman.
Yeah, he didn't really think this through. Especially what she finds on that wall.
But it is kind of funny of like, that is kind of such a creepy guy mentality of like, hey, she trusts me.
He probably doesn't even know it's there though.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
You know what I'm talking about though, right?
I do. I don't remember the specifics, so I'm curious as to how they dole it out. How do they make a claustrophobic movie even more claustrophobic?
That one movie, Buried, is horrible. I cannot watch that.
Buried. Oh my god, I love that movie. Yeah.
The worst.
Ryan Reynolds, good dramatic actor.
The worst thing to happen to you is to get buried alive.
God. Have you ever seen the CSI episode?
Yeah, with Nick,
where one of them gets buried alive.
Mm-hmm. That first CSI show was great.
Directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Yep. Until Grissom left, it was a great
William
show.
Peterson, baby.
Yep, and the guy from Air Force One, Paul Guilfoyle, as the lead detective. Lead commissioner or whatever. Brass.
God, that's a throwback. I gotta go back and watch.
That's a
first
great
couple seasons
show.
Of CSI.
CSI seasons 1 through 7 before Grissom left is phenomenal, especially when Warwick dies too. We're getting into CSI territory, but yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I was about to say, like, are we about to do a watch along for like CSI seasons 1 through 3? God, that would be that takes me something to consider at some point. A TV watch along,
because they used to. They had that block of CSI Without a Trace and Cold Case back in like 05, 06 or whatever.
Yeah.
That was when those shows were good.
That was yeah, and it's not like they were like sugarcoating it. Of like they showed some pretty gruesome like stuff, but as a kid, I was always like,
"There it is." Whoa. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Because he was talking about like clouds and stuff, right? Of like,
and his daughter.
Oh, yeah, I'm a few seconds behind. So I'm like, I remember the daughter. And I'm like...
She's at the window right now for me. And she sees the help me thing.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yep, just got to it. She's just opening it. I thought you...
Oh, okay.
I feel like I remember something with a body. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. That's so creepy.
But it is like, it's creepy, it's horrible, and I don't trust John Goodman, but it is like, I have not trusted John Goodman before, and he's had a good excuse for it, so maybe he has something here.
I don't remember.
Like, maybe he can justify it.
I don't think... Oh...
I remember there being something physical, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's this... Yeah, what is... I'm going to look it up while watching. What else has Dan Trachtenberg got lined up?
Sorry, I'm just caught up in this because, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's
we're all watching this together.
Yeah, it's the double-edged sword of doing one of these kind of taut thrillers as a watch-along, because it's like, if it's working, it means you're paying attention, and it means, like, anything to distract you, you'll miss, like, crucial... things. All right, Dan. Let's look him up. Because he was supposed to do the Uncharted movie.
The guy who's playing this guy here?
No, the director of this was supposed to do the Uncharted movie.
Dan Trachtenberg, right?
He did the Black Mirror episode. Yeah. He did the Black Mirror episode with Wyatt Russell. That explains why it's so good. Yeah, and all he has is the first episode of The Boys, which is pretty great.
Which is ridiculous, yes.
Yeah. His short film, his Portal short film, is pretty awesome. I remember seeing that and being like, oh, you can do that with video games? Oh.
Yeah.
Ew, that's creepy. That's really creepy.
Yep. How he's holding her in that picture.
And well, just the t-shirt that, like, she's wearing the t-shirt in the photo.
Yeah.
And it is like, you know, like, do we confront him or do we survive the apocalypse with this guy? It's like, you can't go outside. Like, that's such a dilemma of, like, do we just ride it out?
Yeah.
I love this dancing from
Yeah.
John Goodman.
He should have gotten an Oscar nom for this. Best choreography.
Yeah, just for this. This would be his clip.
This is cringy too. This is cringe. Because they know that he killed his
He
daughter.
also seems like one of yeah. Well, and it is that the lightness and now the darkness completely overlap together right now.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a Tim Burton movie.
Like it, yeah. Just like more unsettling.
Yeah.
But it's like John Goodman seems like one of those like veteran actors who like a new director would want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Because like he'll be nice to them and help them out and like not like bully them into because they're inexperienced. He seems like a good like introductory to like working with movie stars.
This whole situation where he kind of like with the toolbox and the tools that go missing.
With
it's just like, it's really odd how this plays out. If you know what, if you remember, like how like
when her kind of like assembling scene of the outfit.
Not that the fact that he finds it all out, the way he finds it out. Yeah, you'll see. Yeah.
That's a good line delivery. Can I help you with something? It is. That's like the big writing challenge with movies like this, of especially when it's high concept of all right, you setting yourself logic, especially with the characters. So it's like, you know, it's up to you to like follow that logic, and that's the trick. That's the hard part. Like for someone who is that meticulous with all of his stuff. And just this whole scene's in one shot. Or that shot was in one shot. That long shot. And just like having the rooms be dark, having the lights off just gives it such a different vibe. I love the window in the kitchen because I just got like kind of freaked out of like, wait, they're not on the surface. I also just
his
this
face
scene
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like John Goodman thinks this guy's an idiot, and like the fact that he's making a point, like he's like afraid of like, wait, that's the challenge of this scene, to get John Goodman to take him seriously. And he can't not think about it. He planted the seed. He incepted him.
Which is kind of dumb.
But it is funny of like, it's showing, especially Mary Elizabeth Winstead's resourcefulness of kind of know how this guy ticks. And it's like, he's paranoid. So if you tell him that like, hey, your shower curtain is contaminated, even if it's not, he'll be like, okay, I don't trust this.
Yeah, but it also makes him a little more susceptible to suspicion. If you know what I mean, because of what happens. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. But I think that's the downfall of like, and like especially living with people in a confined space with such high tensions. It's like everyone already suspects each other when it's
especially during Autumn
at the best of times.
Yeah.
And now that things are like tense.
And especially how the first impressions were.
I also, well, and again, just like we'll get to it, but just how much like John Goodman does not like this guy as opposed to her. I think he's looking more for a daughter figure.
Yeah. It's jealousy.
I also love a good like, yeah. Well, and again, it's that unspoken of just men and women, and like the two men are now like not competing for the women, but there is that underlying like machismo kind of element to it of like, okay, I got to be the best version of myself, so she chooses me, and kind of put two socially awkward guys in the middle of that, and the end of the world. That's just like extra tension. What is this game they're playing?
That sounds like Family Feud. What's another word for Tiny?
Tiny. Oh, I love his first word was pygmy.
Pygmy. What does that even mean?
Because I feel like it just means like I thought it was like a small animal.
You said pygmy,
right? Here, but I'll Google it
because it might have meant something. Pygmy.
Yeah. The pygmy, it's a people. I'm an idiot. The pygmy peoples of Central Africa are traditionally hunter-gatherers living in the rainforest throughout Central Africa. The term pygmy has gained negative connotations and has been reclaimed by some indigenous groups as a term of identity. I'd like to say that John Goodman said it and not me. And
yep, no, it's fine.
I apologize.
No, it's fine.
I'm an idiot, and I didn't go to school.
Oh, we both idiots. I didn't know.
I'm
yeah, but we did say that in the context of that. We just didn't know what that meant. So yeah, we're fine. Because I thought it actually meant something.
We did our research, and now we are informed.
No, not. That's how you get educated, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, now I'm trying to remember. Like, you take a second. Not ignore, realize you're wrong, and then learn. This is one of those scenes that's always like, I know what the plan is, and they're like, oh, everything's about to unravel, and he's like,
yeah, Mike, we need this guy to direct more stuff.
Yeah, but then he's like, actually, I don't know where this goes. It's hard to talk about when they're yelling because I'm like,
yeah,
I'm scared. Intense. I don't want to overtalk John Goodman.
We should get John Goodman on a watch along.
That'd be, yeah. Hold on, let me make some.
Let me get him. Okay. That would literally be the best
guy. God. Now the tension is: would we make him watch a movie he's in, or would we just be like, John Goodman, what's your favorite movie? We'll just like watch that with you. What if he was like,
I think it would
the Human Centipede?
Watch a movie. Like, yeah, watch Human Centipede.
It's like, I'm just a big fan.
Oh, this.
I love.
This movie also wraps up really quickly.
I love movies with like technical process. Yeah, wait, how far are we? Oh my gosh, yeah, we have 30 minutes left.
And that last 30 minutes goes by really quickly.
I always say it that 90-minute runtime is always a beautiful 1 hour 20 minutes. Just
hour and 30 minutes plus 10 minutes of credits, you're good.
Yep.
This is hard to watch.
And yeah, and this exact feeling of oh my god, this exact feeling of you're in trouble with your parents, but your parents are psychopaths. Like, him delivering like lines through clenched teeth. This really is
acid.
The most unsettling thing. Acid. He's really good at like giving information and making it sound like he's got that Christopher Walken aspect of like, he just got a fun way of saying normal words. I want to hear you explain stuff. Again, acid just freaks me out.
And this is probably what happened to his little daughter.
God, and it's just, that's what this movie's good at. It's just like the ideas of what's been happening are worse than what you're seeing. So it's like, no, Howie, you're not an idiot. Please don't be mad. Sorry, Patty. We're seeing inside the barrel.
Yeah.
See, and like, that's the thing. I would totally buy that this paranoid guy would see a pair of scissors at a place and be like, these motherfuckers are up to something. Pardon my language. That'll be our one PG-13 F-bomb.
No, it's fine.
Oh, that is such a threat. That's such a threat.
Yep.
Well, in the line of like, answer with some dignity.
Oh, this is rough.
And the fact that he's like being a decent guy and like
this is rough.
It and like it's like,
this is hard to watch.
I love how confident this part is.
Yeah.
Oh. It's just like one light shining up. Yeah, no, take everybody. We're gonna get through this together. This is
hard.
Oh, and this was such a moment in the theater where I was like,
this is the best moment ever. It's hard to watch.
It's so so not a studio movie move. Like, this isn't something you'd see in a franchise.
He just shot him point blank.
And I gotta look this up, but like the craziest thing, and I love how the sound like cuts down because it's like
because he just shot her.
So we're still in her head, and like right now this is just numb.
This is so intense.
Go for it, Pat. The craziest thing about this movie is PG-13.
It is. It's because like.
Oh, did you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I think we're just like slightly lagged, so like some responses are coming in slightly later than others, but yeah, no, just like this movie is, it gets to the limit of R, I think, as close as you can get without really going, because the ideas are so unsettling.
There's no F word, so yeah, I think that they got away with it with that.
But it's like, this is way more intense than a lot of like quote unquote R-rated movies I've seen. And it's just like, just based on the implications of what's going on and like how much these people are suffering. That's a pretty good driver's license photo.
This guy's insane.
Ugh, John Goodman. And it's just like the thing of, him shaved is even more unsettling.
It's kind of like
it cleans up well.
The Bates Motel. Or Hannibal Lecter.
Yes. Oh, he's got such a Norman. Yeah. But it's like the film does a really good job of
Yep. Patty,
not making him just be crazy.
Yeah, Patty, we're getting into probably the most. Yeah,
we're in the end game now. It really is like he could have been nominated for an Oscar for this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who he was against. 2016 supporting actors. Oh, he was going to get out of there before John Goodman shot him in the head.
Yep.
All right, 2016 Best Supporting Actors.
What was that she was looking at?
I missed that last part because I think it was the photograph or a photograph. I know it was something that motivated her to the guy said to continue her escape and get her out of there.
Yeah.
No, I want. It almost looks like he dyed his hair to like be darker. I will say he was going up against actually no, that's the next year. He lost to Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies if John Goodman was nominated at all.
He definitely should have been.
Ugh. It's such a good way to just ratchet up tension.
Oh, the fact that Michelle's up there?
Oh. Or just like all of her, like her hazmat suit. All right. Here we go, folks.
Yep, psychological horror right here.
Mm-hmm. And then again, this is just like we've gotten such a good idea of the layout of the bunker. Oh,
that's the guy's body.
I forgot about that. Yep. Got to dispose of the evidence. This is, guys, there's a barrel of acid between them, and it like, oh, don't fall into it, John Goodman, you fool.
Isn't he supposed to be the colonel, right? Right, for KFC? Well, now he's kind of fried.
nice and crispy. Oh.
Yep, he's dead.
All right, John, for this scene, you're going to have to act half melted. All right? We're going to need you to really pull from a personal place for this one.
He's a zombie.
I'd see like a movie where it's just John Goodman as a zombie John Goodman. But yeah, like the movie has set up every location in this bunker. So like when this chase happens at the end, you know where everything is, where she needs to get to.
Yep. And the tension is just there.
Yeah. Just like the idea of a flesh burn. From like
yeah. And it's probably hot because of all this, the heat. Right?
Yeah, and it's like now the time frame of like, all right, that place is going to start filling up with smoke fast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And he's still alive. And he keeps calling him Michelle.
And it's just like they made this is a Cloverfield movie where the monster is a person. And it's like, this is what you can do with like so many different premises. Oh, this next part. This is the worst part for me. Oh, this is a PG-13 movie and they're getting away with this. That bothers me so much.
Yeah, it's just...
And also, like, the sound design of, like, the squelching.
Yeah.
Listen, I like me some good body horror. I like me some good, like, gore and stuff. But, man, do I not have a stomach for it sometimes.
Especially right here.
Wait.
Oh!
What, Patty, that's called taking it for the team.
Mm-hmm. No, Patty said take it for
I
the
do
team,
like
yeah.
that the duck is... Yeah. Yeah, Mike, I agree with you on the comment of maybe in a weaker year he'd get nominated, but it is still a movie that came out in March. That's more of kind of a B horror movie. Like, it still has that hurdle to get over. But see, that's so smart. She's such a smart character. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
I remember, like, as a kid, and even as an adult, I look at Padlocks, and I'm like, well, that's it. Yeah, there's no way to get past that. God.
There you go.
Heck yeah. It's this whole next stretch that I am a little bit...
Oh, this
like,
last part? Yeah,
okay,
this is where it loses me a little. Yeah.
This is where it is like, oh, that's the... J.J. Abrams comes in and is like, what if, this happened and the ship? Oh, we got a Brad Gilmore in the chat.
Oh, what's up, Brad?
Good, sir.
Watch a
Thank you for joining us for at least this moment.
Watch Cloverfeild.
It really, like,
great.
we're at the end. Like, this movie moves. Like, it really is, I think about, like, what would be the first movie I would want to make? Yeah. And it's, like, a nice, like, tight little... Sorry, Chris, I'm not sure if I cut you off at some point.
No, it's just... The way it ends, I would have ended it different. And I think you might agree with me that it kind of ends weird. Like, really weird.
Yeah. I think the end beat with her is really good, and I think that stays in line with her character. But I think the whole kind of, like, this action scene at the end is just kind of perfunctory.
Especially with the chase with the alien.
Yeah, that claustrophobic shot inside the helmet where it's just her eyes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There really isn't a wasted set prop in this film, Mike. You're right.
Yeah. That's just good. That's good artistry. Like, making sure everything matters. And, like, all of this is just told visually of, like, oh, there's birds. Like...
Maybe everything was a lie.
Yeah. This is the problem I find with a lot of, like, Netflix movies, or, like, a lot of kind of low-budget horror sci-fi movies where it's like, we got a cool concept, characters that interact with it, but we don't know how to kind of stick the landing because we make it about the concept and not about the characters. So it, like, does feel a little hollow of, like, yeah, they did a cool thing at the end, but, like... I don't feel fulfilled as a story. This one, I do think they do have an end beat that I like that helps wrap it up. But, like,
it's not a terrible ending. It's just
any actor that can pull off the single tear. It's just prime in my book. And this is with this spaceship, like. I always think about, like, them coming up with so many original sounds for Star Wars. Have we had another movie that's been that influential of just being so original in, like, how sci-fi sounds, or, like, how
the only
otherworldly concept?
The only other movie that's as influential as Star Wars is King Kong 1933 because of That was the first use of sound effects in a musical score. I think Star Wars. There's no other comparison besides Star Wars and Kong 33. Star Wars just has how you design sound is basically stems from Star Wars and Star Wars alone.
Yeah, and just like how different it was to compare to everything that came before it. Of like it was just so original, and now everything's based on it.
And here's where Cloverfield comes into play.
Which is like, there were some reviews that were like, it's not really tied to Cloverfield. And they were kind of like upset about it. And it's like, I like that, but I do agree. This is like, I don't remember that in the first Cloverfield.
Yeah, but also it explains where. Come on. I love that. Come on, too.
Yeah.
That there's a giant.
It's like from this moment, I'm like, this feels like a reshoot. Like this feels like you got to get a scene with like an alien thing, have her in a car or something.
It does feel a little anticlimactic because you would just had that epic chase between her and Goodman.
Oh.
Which in hindsight,
I'm always a fan.
I'll go for it.
Oh, sorry, Chris. I think you cut out for a second.
Did I cut out? You cut out a little bit.
Oh, we're both cutting out.
It's great. We're cutting out with each other. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think LA is deciding to do like power blackout rollovers this night.
Am I going black with a circle sometimes?
No, you're fine. Mine does a weird streaming thing where if I'm not moving, neither are you guys. So sometimes I gotta like shake back and forth to like.
Oh, okay.
It's such a weird streaming
maybe.
thing.
Oh, okay.
It's me. Let me close some tabs.
No, it's
getting
fine.
a look behind the scenes here, folks. But like, yeah, like this whole scene like feels like it's the most like tied into the first Cloverfield and make it feel like one of the monster scenes from the first one. And it's like I care more because I care about Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but it doesn't really fit in this really tight like thriller they had leading up until this.
Yeah.
And it's like
it turns into
all the
a different
Cloverfield
movie.
like alien designs I think are almost cool.
But the design not to be seen that much. Yeah. This does feel like a reshoot though. It doesn't feel like the same movie.
Does. Yeah. No, which I'm curious as to what the first ending would be. Because it's like her getting out of the bunker is kind of the
her getting out of the bunker
and kind of
honestly her getting out of the bunker and just
trauma.
honestly her getting out of the bunker and just seeing the spaceship and just cutting to black. I don't know if this was all needed.
See, that looks like like that dog thing looks like it would be similar to the first monster, like kind of tangentially, almost maybe. I didn't see Cloverfield Paradox. I've just heard unanimously.
I have not. I've not seen it either.
Yeah. I don't think this ending is terrible. It just does feel like it's in a different movie. So it's like it's still well made.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's genuine tension here. I think it's like
it's
what gives me confidence and like give this director a bigger
It's too
movie.
much. I feel like it's too much. I feel like it's anticlimactic and too much. It should have just ended with this. Her getting out of the bunker and seeing everything in the sky and then it cutting to black.
Which is funny because like the ends beat, which again we'll get to, of her driving off. Not to spoil it, but I just did. I think is such a good strong beat that you still could have had that if she just like saw a spaceship in the distance and decided to drive towards it.
I think it would have
been
been
all
better.
This whole thing of like her having to put her suit back on after she already took it off, like it just feels like extra and unneeded and like I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like padding in a movie that does not need padding.
It should have just been her getting out of the bunker and the ending.
I also like, as resourceful as she is, I don't buy that her homemade like hazmat suit would like resist alien poison that's meant to like take out the population.
Yeah.
Ew. Ew.
Yeah, this is a little too much, but just in hindsight.
Yeah. But, and like, that's the thing, I think this is what kind of keeps it out of like, I think more serious conversations. Because I think it would have more impact if it just ended where it ended, where you're suggesting. And this does kind of like put it too much into the same category of like, oh, it's just kind of a schlocky B movie. And this is such a weird kind of like callback to the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Where it's like, he takes the grenades and puts it in the alien butthole thing. I like that she does it with the liquor that her boyfriend gave her. And it's like she's using such a thing for evil to... And again, it's like it's continuously showing her ingenuity of like not giving up even when like all things seem like hopeless. Like that's the thing that makes this reshoot feel better than a lot of others, is that the character still feels consistent even in this absurd scenario.
110%.
But that's a pretty good like Molotov cocktail made in...
I like how it's a Molotov cocktail and she just throws it. Like a gangster would in a gangster film. Like burn the place. Boom.
I also, it seems very confused as to kind of what the design of the aliens in these movies should be. Like, it's organic, but it's still technology based, but like, we're going kind of for like a District 9 feel, but they're still kind of animalistic. And it's like, it doesn't feel specific in a way that my favorite aliens in alien movies are like.
It just feels like a different movie right now. Like, we're so far away from what it was originally.
Oh yeah, like compared to this movie, but even like compared to the first one, like that alien design does not feel the same as the big monster that was attacking New York. And it's like, it just feels like they didn't really think through like what this universe would be, which they didn't. It is just kind of like, let's find some movies that we can tack it onto. And like, that's the mystery box problem I have of like, ain't it cool, the mystery? I'm like, yeah, but where are you going? They're like, too late, we're already there. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
I do like how she commented, is like, I just blew up an alien ship after I just melted John Goodman. This has been a night.
Yep, and here it comes.
Casually drives off. But again, this beat that's about to come up, and I like. See, like this is a cute shot, which I her destroying the mailbox, and then it goes to the Cloverfeild. Like, doesn't make much sense, but it's like cute that like the street is named Cloverfield. But like, these are my favorite kind of stories of just like almost like a Twilight Zone episode of she got out. She was like in her own little hellhole. Weird stuff happened that was kind of like paranormal.
I just feel like
and
they could have cut the last 15 minutes we were just watching out. Yeah.
Totally.
They should have.
But like this beat right here, I think is really strong. Where she has the choice between like going to the city to help people or like running away, that's how she got into this mess, is running away. And I like that she chooses to like go to the fight. And there's still a way to do that, I think, with just like a simpler ending. But I think this beat does save a lot of kind of the awkwardness of this last 10 minutes, even though it is pretty awkward and stapled on.
It is.
Baton Rouge, mademoiselle, mon ami.
Be your guess.
Go to Louisiana.
The mystery box is one of the most frustrating things about it.
Yep. It's like, I think even like JJ is kind of like bothered by it. Like, listen, I get it. It's what I'm
ending. This
or just like
ending
the
is
mystery
bothered
box. Or just like the fact that he's known for being the mystery box guy of like, there's always a twist.
Yeah. And there we go.
See, it's like I'm not excited that there's aliens attacking. I'm excited that Mary Elizabeth Winstead got over her trauma and is like developed as a person.
Yep. Well, that's 10 Cloverfield Lane, guys.
Love this movie.
Pat, before we sign off, we're going to make this exit short. Where can the good people find you online, and what are your overall thoughts on the film?
Find me online at Hogue_filmmaker, both on Twitter and Instagram. Actually, let me reverse it. I like this movie. I like this movie a lot, and I think it really, especially kind of in the studio system, which is, I kind of really appreciate sometimes what Bad Robot really does, and what JJ, for all of his quirks and all of his like fun little storytelling tricks, really does get behind some like abstract and weird concepts that I want to see more in big budget movies. And I like, he supports like a smaller story like this that probably got the funding and got the big actors it did because they were able to throw the Cloverfield brand onto it. And Dan Trachtenberg to like really, and the writers to really take a concept and be able to like use that to the advantage of the story. It falls apart a little bit at the end, but it's like that I don't think dampens how kind of extraordinary the rest of the movie is, and how it really is a perfect movie that when you describe it, of like a taut thriller about John Goodman being crazy with two other actors in a bunker, like you get what you're sold. Love this movie. Really recommend it to people who haven't watched it, and hopefully if you're with us, you were watching it. Do you want me to do the rest of the sign-offs and all my social media?
You could just do your social media sign-offs.
Yeah. Find me at Twitter and Instagram at Hogue_filmmaker. Check out my films. I'm a filmmaker, like being creative. Check out them on Vimeo at Patrick Hogue, and check out my latest short film, SEW, on Crypt TV's YouTube channel. They're a big YouTube channel. Mine's under their Featured Creatures playlist, and it's doing well. Always a pleasure to be on these watch-alongs, Chris.
Yep, it's fun. This film is phenomenal, except for that last 20 minutes could have just been excised to make the ending stronger. You said everything I wanted to. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisCluck8788. Those numbers mean nothing. And be sure to check out all the stuff we announced at the start. We spent like 15 minutes talking about all of it, but make sure to just check everything out on the podcast feed. You know when all our shows are. So from Pat and myself, we say to you, keep rocking. One, two, three. So long, farewell to you, my friend. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. I said so long, farewell to you, my friend. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. Oh, it's been great to play and sing together in the box, and now it's time to say goodbye. Ooh, so long, farewell to you, my friend. Goodbye, for now, until we meet again. Goodbye for now, until we meet again.